Welcome back to Go Fund This. Hey, thank you so much for listening and actively supporting the crowdfunding we discuss on this show. I know we're having an impact because I'm hearing back from the people we've interviewed, and they've said this show has been mentioned a lot to them. That makes me feel really great. Before we get into this episode, I want to give you a heads up on a couple of things. Very soon, my company will be launching a very short-term Kickstarter campaign to raise a relatively small amount for an online podcast festival that we're hosting. One of the next couple of episodes will be about this event and how you can support it. I'll make sure to share the info about the Mercury Podcast Festival once our campaign is approved by Kickstarter. Also, since we talk about funding on this show, I should mention we have an affiliate sponsor who's been a great supporter of our network since the very beginning, almost 7 years ago. Tweaked Audio makes incredible headphones that sound amazing and are durable as well. You listen to podcasts, obviously, so you know the value of a great pair of headphones. Get your own from Tweaked Audio by going to tweakedaudio.com and using the coupon code Southgate. I'll put that in the show notes, too. With that code, you get 30% off on your order, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Order today and show your support to Go Fund This. Thanks. Today's tip: get creative with your rewards. One thing I learned from interviewing people who have successful crowdfunding is that the supporters, especially those at the higher levels, are typically looking for rewards that are unique and special, but also don't cause a lot of extra work that will detract you from the original project. For example, I was checking out an Indiegogo for a podcast that I was interested in. One of their reward tiers was a mixtape of the podcast's greatest hits picked by the hosts. Each bit was an approximately 3-minute clip of a show that was either really funny or featured a special guest. They shipped a cassette tape to the supporters with these tracks, and the case was handwritten by one of the hosts, just like a mixtape from the 80s. The cost was cheap, which was great because I wanted them to have the money for their project, and I also knew the effort was not so much that it would take away from the main show. I also knew that the only way I could ever get this awesome gift was to donate. At $20, it was a slam dunk. The point is, think outside of the box. Try to think what you would like to get as a fan, as a supporter of the project. Giving a t-shirt away at the $20 level means you might lose money on the perk, and that defeats the purpose of your crowdfunding. Recording a voicemail message for $20 costs you nothing but a sliver of your time and would be a unique, special thank you to the supporter. I suggest looking at what others are offering and searching for lists of creative perks. I found some awesome lists in the 10 minutes before recording this show, so carving out an hour before launching to research cool rewards would give you more ideas than you'll ever use. I am positive. Update. Foot Fist Frankenstein far exceeded its initial goal. The project needed $4,000. The project ended at over $10,000. Amazing. Axon Punk Expanded also blew its initial goal away. This project needed $7,500. It ended at almost $12,000. Absolutely incredible. And Peerless did it as well. This project needed $5,000. It ended its campaign at $6,600. So far, every project that we've featured has achieved its funding goals. I am elated. Let's keep it going with this week's Kickstarter project. This week I have Tom Knauss discussing the Kickstarter from Frog God Games for Adventures in Tehuatl. I may be saying that wrong. I'm doing my best. Here's a description of the Kickstarter, with a lot of mispronunciations, I'm sure. Born of blood and treachery, the island of Tehuatl is all that remains of a once mighty empire that dominated an entire continent. Inspired by the history and legends of Mesoamerica, this new addition to the world of the Lost Lands introduces you and your players to a land and a people reborn from a devastating cataclysm who persevered and created their own legacy built upon stone, wood, and flesh. The system-neutral campaign setting hardcover sourcebook, Tehuatl, is a guide and gazetteer to the island's history, people, religions, geography, and communities that is expected to be 140 pages. I'll have links to Fraud God Games and to Tom's social media and to the Kickstarter in the show notes. So please check them out and support this project whatever way you can. All right, here's Tom. Welcome to Go Fund This, Tom. I am super excited to have you here. This is such a cool project. So let's start off by, why don't you give us a little background about you before we jump into this cool project?
Okay, I am Tom Knauss, and I am one of the main writers for Fraud God Games. I've been an RPG designer for about 20 years, so I've bounced around originally from a lot of places. I started with companies I'm sure that no longer exist and you've probably never heard of, and then got into some more well-known ones. I've done work for Mongoose. I've done work for Atlas Games. I've done work for Bastion Press back in the day, was one of my main employers. I also have done work for Cobalt Press, Legendary Games, but I predominantly these days work for Fraud God Games. So I've been doing this for 20 years, and I am super excited because this is a project that I finally got the opportunity to say what I wanted to do, and I was just given a green light.
Oh, that's the best. All right. So this is the big moment of truth. I want to hear, what is this project?
Okay, so what we decided to do is Fraud God Games has a Lost Lands campaign setting, and it incorporates all of the adventures that appeared under the Necromancer Games product line, the adventures that appeared under Fraud God Games, and brought them into one cohesive unit, because at one time there was no really defined idea, like we're going to make this campaign setting and you're going to set an adventure here and you're going to set an adventure there and you're going to set it here. Basically, each author had their own idea and they created this place, but this place had no real home. So what we ended up doing in a Herculean effort was to combine them all together. So World of the Lost Lands came out last year. It was very successful. I think we raised about $115,000 for the project and had probably over 1,000 backers. And this is an expansion to that world. So what happened is the World of Lost Lands talks about the two continents north of the equator, Akados and Libanos, where all of the adventures were set. This talks about what happens in the southern hemisphere of this world, which has pretty much been devastated, but there's small islands left. And this is one of those islands. It is called Tehuatl. It's spelled Tehuatl, but we're going to go with the Nahuatl pronunciation and call it Tehuatl. And it is a very Mesoamerican inspired expansion to the world. So it builds upon largely the Aztec civilization and their beliefs and their accomplishments, and makes it into a new area of the Lost Lands.
So we might have some sacrifice, some sun gods, some things like that going on here.
We try to keep the sacrifice in the background. While it does exist,
it's not good PR to have sacrifice.
Right. I didn't want to make it a focal point. I didn't want to make it it does exist and we acknowledge it, but we wanted to encourage players and GMs to keep it as something that occurs on a macro level rather than a micro level. So we don't want you to think, well, my character is going to gain all these abilities. I'm going to perform 20 sacrifices today to do that. We didn't want to encourage that. So we said, that's not what this is about. It occurs. Some of the gods demand blood. And we try to minimize, too, the number that did. So there are some deviations, although we do use the real world names and their roles for the gods. So you will find Huitzilopochtli, you will find Quetzalcoatl, the familiar names if you were from the old days and you remember the Deities and Demigods book and you saw the Central American mythos, those names are still there. We just try to lessen the number that need blood. And we also one of the cool things I think we did with this is there's an entire backstory. And in this version, the gods did not start out as gods. They started out as mortals who defeated this great enemy. And in the aftermath of that, and the aftermath of the cataclysm that destroyed the southern continent, they were imbued with divine powers.
Now, this is all stemming from your brain, I'm assuming, the way you're structuring this?
Largely, yes.
Cool.
There were two other authors. So there's two books here. Tehuatl is the main book. It is the campaign setting. Consider it the Gazetteer. Consider it your guide to this world. There's a second book called Adventures in Tehuatl, and that currently contains 3 adventures, one written by me, one written by Rob Manning, who's worked for a lot of places as well, and one written by Tim Hitchcock, who did a lot of work for Paizo, if you're familiar with him. And every time I bring him on a show, everyone says, tell me about Kingmaker, because he was the one who designed Kingmaker. So, yeah, Kingmaker was a big Paizo project. They're rebooting it again, too, which has also increased the interest in it. So the basic ideas largely sprung from me. They made some contributions to it because they created the adventures, and we kind of retrofitted, like the old Lost Lands actually evolved by letting them have some reign with the adventures, and then whatever they created, I then ported into the main world as I could adjust it. I had to give them some parameters, so some things I had to adjust, but there are some of their influences in there as well.
Now, you've written for a number of systems. What are your favorite systems to write for, and what is this really based on?
Well, the main book is system neutral. So Tehuatl has no system in it. There are going to be add-ons where you can add character class archetypes, spells, equipment, magic items, some system-specific stuff. We're going to do that for 5e, and we're going to do that for Pathfinder. We're up in the air about doing it for our own in-house OSR retro clone Swords and Wizardry, because we don't know if there's going to be enough material to make it worthwhile. There's just a lot of Swords and Wizardry doesn't have class options, and that's a big portion of the add-on. So if we subtract that out, and the equipment tends to be much more streamlined and simpler, so that might also make it not very feasible to convert it. But there's definitely going to be a Pathfinder and a 5e version for that material. The adventures will be done in all 3 settings. So it'll be Swords and Wizardry, it'll be 5e, and it will be Pathfinder. And there are also 2 additional adventures that we may unlock. 2 of the stretch goals are an additional adventure by Rob called Rider on the Storm, and another additional adventure by Tim Hitchcock called Daughter of the Drowned Serpent. There's also going to be 2 add-on adventures that I wrote, and I love this title. I think I come up with some really clever titles. It's Maze and Monsters, except it's Maize instead of old Tom Hanks' Mazes and Monsters movies.
I love it. That's a good one, man.
And the other one is The Hidden Shrine of Tom Knauss, which is basically my name jumbled up and put into Noal as an homage to the old Hidden Shrine of, I can't even say that one, Tomoe-chan, or however you say it. So that's the overview of the entire project.
Cool.
In a nutshell.
Okay, what is the goal, the first goal that we have to hit here?
We're looking at our first funding goal is 20,000. I'm pretty confident we're going to hit that pretty quick. We're then going to have some stretch goals that go farther up. So we do have some monsters that are created for this book. So one of the first stretch goals will be to provide illustrations for any of the new monsters that appear here. And an added stretch goal will also be to create a bestiary in all 3 systems for those monsters that will be in PDF. Unless we really go gangbusters and can hit like some goal we're not even dreaming of, we might do that in softcover, but we've got to really knock this out of the park to do that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we're also looking at one of the stretch goals will also be a printable map of the area, which will be distributed as a digital goal. And then we also have tokens that may also be added that will be part of the stretch goals. And we're up to about, I believe, around 45 to 50,000, and then we'll have to come up with more stretch goals. But we'll figure.
Let's hope you hit that. It'll be worth your time to come up with one, right?
I'm confident we will, but I'm not the greatest at predicting things, and in this current environment, we don't know what can happen from day to day in terms of the economy. So,
well, that's why I started this show back up, was because of the current environment, trying to draw attention to people. So hopefully the listeners here are sympathetic to that, and will help get you to those big goals.
Oh,
so
I would love it.
What are the levels, the basic levels that you have? You don't have to give them all. Some people have 1 million of them. But what are a few that you want to highlight?
Okay. Well, we're looking at, we're, again, doing this in the main book. The Tehuatl book is going to be a hardcover. So if you're looking just for your hardcover, and you want some of the digital products and digital stretch goals, you're looking at about a $40 pledge for the hardcover book. If you want to go into getting everything in PDF, that means and this is going to be more for our overseas people, where the cost of shipping is so astronomical that we just can't sell them a hardcover book and ship it. It's just going to be, they're going to pay 3 times the amount of the price of the book.
Right.
So if you're overseas and you're interested in getting the PDFs, and that's going to be a $65 pledge goal. If you're into having all the books, the hardcover of the main system, the soft cover of the adventure book, your poster map, you're looking at $70 pledge. And if you want everything in print, including the 2 supplemental adventures I talked about, Maze and Monsters and the Hidden Shrine, as well as the system-specific addendums we're going to do, you're looking at about 130. And then we're getting into like more of the collector area, where people who want leather. We have a large customer base that is very into collectibles. So we're going to be doing some leather versions of this book. So those are going to be in the higher end pledges. You're talking in the hundreds of dollars for those.
Sure, but to the person that's going to come in at that's well worth it. So it sounds like you've got really logical levels. I mean, if I was going to buy a hardcover version of it, I'm going to spend that much. So why not put it in directly and support the Kickstarter?
Oh, I hear a cat in the background. You can't tell me?
Yeah. It's driving me crazy. I keep turning off my mic because this cat is making me nuts. But you know what?
I have the same problem. Mine is asleep, fortunately. So
yeah. Well, this one is the bad one.
We have a big collector market out there. So we do gear some stuff for them directly. It's actually called, I've been told that it's named, one of the highest end pledges is named after one of our regulars. So it's not even like, it's not even like superstar of Tehuatl. It's this person's name. It's just, this is your pledge. It's everything. It's the kitchen sink. It includes everything you could possibly imagine in here. So
great. So great. So what else do you want to tell us about this project, or did you pretty much get it all out there?
I think I hit a lot of the information. I think we have some incredible art on this project. And Bill Webb, our CEO, actually posted on his personal social media and said, I think this is the best art we've ever seen in a Frog God project.
That's saying a lot. I was looking through some of the Frog God stuff.
And it is saying a lot. And one of the things that's really unique about this is I'm not I have no Aztec blood in me. I have no Aztec heritage. I've been very interested with this culture for years, and this is why I really wanted to do this and really give credit to what these people accomplished, because it's really amazing when you dig into and learn some of the things they did that are mind-boggling.
Right.
They created this vast city in the middle of a lake. They created causeways to it. They built these grand pyramids. They had running water. They had a great understanding of the world around them. And I really wanted to bring that to life. And we were very fortunate to have many of our artists are actually from Central and South America. So for them, this was like, and Casey Christopherson is our art director, and he does an amazing job as an art director. He actually recruited some of them, and many of them, and they were like, no, give us more of this art. We really want to do this stuff because we want to, celebrate our heritage in this project. Sure. So, when I said I want to put this in, they knew exactly what it was. Like,
that's cool.
I want somebody to, I want you to depict somebody holding a mach. And I even have problems pronouncing it, even though I've tried my best. Maquidal in their hand. They knew what it was. So I was like, all right, that's cool. So we can work with that. And, they were very enthusiastic to do this work. And they really, really produced some amazing art with incredible colors, incredible vibrancy. And it just captured the feel and the flavor of the entire setting that we were looking for. And it's really the icing on the cake for this whole project.
I love it. Well, I'm going to say this right now. Anyone listening, if you are a gamer or love this kind of stuff, if you're into Aztec culture and want to see some incredible depictions, absolutely back this project. Frog God makes great stuff. And they're one of those companies that I've run into. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with anybody from Frog God before, but I've always been very impressed. So this is a project you really want to get behind because it's really top shelf stuff, and it's beautiful, and I know the writing's going to be great. I've been reading all about you, Tom, so I know it's going to be a hell of a ride. Tom, why don't you give any social media for people?
Well, you can obviously find me on my own personal page. It's Tom Knauss. I think it's number 52. So I'm not good at links and stuff like that. I'm also on Instagram, but I really rarely, if ever, post anything there. Our socials, you can find us at froggodgames.com is our website. We also have a Facebook page, an Instagram page. Most of our material is transmitted through Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I'm sorry. Everyone I know who does Twitter just complains about Twitter, so I'm just like, I don't want to get involved in that. I don't know if we have a Twitter page. I think we do, but I'm not 100% sure.
If you do, I'll get it in the show notes. How's that?
Okay. Frog God Games. You can certainly find us on Facebook. We also have Necromancer Games, which we recently resurrected. So we also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page for that as well. So you can find us there. We also have a heavy presence on Discord. So if you have interested in Discord, we have an entire Frog God channel. I don't know how to find stuff like that.
You don't have to.
Those things.
I'm telling you, I'm going to put it in the show notes, and people are way smarter than us at this stuff. They find it very quickly when we put those links in.
Yeah, I'm kind of an old timer. I remember rotary phones, and I remember when we only had 2-3 channels to watch on TV. So. Oh
yeah, I talk about it all the time. So Tom, it's just a great project. I am really excited for people to get on board with this. Do you know the launch date? That would be important.
The launch date is supposed to be this week, and this is the week of August 3rd. I don't know the exact launch date. The page is pretty much done. It looks done to me. So I guess we're just waiting for it to get the final go-ahead from Kickstarter. So I would expect it to be out within the next 7 days at the latest.
Go look up Frog God Games if you type that in. Is there another name on the Kickstarter that they might want to look up?
Tehuatl, Tehuatl.
Wonderful.
Yep.
That's it. Thanks,
okay.
Tom.
Thank you so much.
I've put the link to the Kickstarter in the show notes, and we'll also have it on posts at our social media. Once again, sharing this project with your followers and friends is key, so please be an active participant and spread the word. While you're in the mood, please share this episode. That draws attention to this show, which we can always use. Oh, and please rate and review us. It only takes a few seconds and makes a huge impact on how many people see when we post a new episode. If you have a crowdfunding project, reach out to me at southgatemediagroup@gmail.com, on Twitter at @rsouthgate, or on Facebook at GoFundThisPodcast. Tell me a little about the project or what you create, and I'll consider featuring it on the show. I would love to help you make your project
a reality. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, go fund this.